Welcome back to All Things NBA from A to Z, presented by ballislife.com. I'm Kris Pursiainen here alongside Zach Noble, our guy. And we are here on Tuesday, October 22nd, to talk about the 2025 NBA season. Wow, wow, wow. Welcome, everyone. If you're joining us for the first time, stick with us all season long. We will be talking all things NBA. It's titular, it's nominal, and it's a whole lot of fun to talk ball with my guy, Zach. Zach, how are we doing? How are we feeling? If you had to give me one word to describe your feelings on this upcoming season for all 30 teams, what's the word?
Wow. So the word I've been going with lately is unfuckwittable, but like that doesn't really go right here. So that was my word of 2024. Honestly, exuberant. Did I say that
Love
right?
it. That's a good
Like
one. That's a great one.
I'm feeling it.
Woo-hoo!
It just came up quick though, like it always hits you. It's like you're just chilling the last couple of weeks before the season. Now it just bam, we're in it. And I am jacked up, ready to go. Didn't catch me off guard, but like kind of caught me off guard type of thing.
I will say that my word is, oh, I'm going to go with transitional. I'm going to say transitional is my word for the 25 NBA season. I think this is going to be a last year that we get elite production from all three of James, Durant, Curry. And I think it's going to be the first year that we get elite production from Wembanyama and Doncic and Jokic and Antetokounmpo and Booker and Tatum. And I think this is the year that the torch is passed. By the end of the season, everyone's going to agree that Steph Curry was one of the greatest of all time, but Jalen Brunson might be the league's best point guard. Jason Tatum might be the best small forward. Giannis, Wemby, the best front court. Like, we'll see, man. We'll see. It's going to be a fun year. Today's episode, if you couldn't tell by the title already, we are going to go back and forth talking about the one question that each team needs to answer this season. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean for them to win 60 games, right? We'll get into it and we'll talk about what those questions are for the, not as good teams as well, because they're important too. Um, with all that said, I also think it would be great, Zach, if we each gave a player to watch on each team. You like Minnesota. I like New York. How about you take the West? I'll take the East. We'll start at the top like people do. Let's get things started, man. We're going to go win total from Vegas, descending for every NBA team. We're going to tell you a question they need to answer and a player to watch out for. I think between those two, you will get a feel for our vibes and our feel for that team. The Boston Celtics are up first with a win total of 58.5, according to Fox Sports, which means I'm up first with the Boston Celtics. And this question is going to be the easiest one either of us gets to ask all day. Can they break the 6 year streak of there being a new champion every season? Can they become the first team in years to repeat? The great, the venerable, the respected Zach Lowe said today that he thinks the Celtics will repeat. That's the question they need to answer. And for me, the one player to watch more than anyone else on this Boston Celtics team is Kristaps Porzingis, because I think he's legitimately cemented himself as one of the best centers in the NBA. And it's kind of not gone under the radar because he just won a championship. But I do think he's actually getting underrated in the discourse right now, the general discourse. And I think if he's healthy and he plays all season, the Celtics will once again be quite the formidable club to go up against. How are we feeling about that?
It seemed like it's been forever since the team's repeated, but it's only been 6 years. So that's pretty recent to me. It looks like it was yesterday. It feels like it was yesterday the Warriors were playing. So I like that feeling. I like dynasties. I like dominance, and I like the Boston Celtics. So all those things makes this year even more exciting. And I definitely think they have a great chance to do it. I do think the league has gotten better overall, but yeah, if Porzingis gets back to full form, they didn't have him in the finals really. So he was, I'd say, is 60% of who he really can be, is who he got in that finals. So yeah, they have a lot more to go as well. I'm gonna look at that question. Um, not question, but when I pick a player, it's going to be the player I think improves the most. Kris might be going with who to watch out for, but I like doing this. I've been doing this every year for probably the last five. But the Celtics are probably the toughest team in this category. There's no real young player I think is going to pop off or anything like that. It comes down to Peyton Pritchard and Jaylen Brown for me. I think they have the most to grow, and I'm going with Jaylen Brown to grow just a little bit more. I think he's really close to his ceiling and peak, but I just think he was more determined. I think he put in a lot of work this offseason. I just think he was felt snubbed from Team USA, and I think he wants to prove that he really is the guy that can be the 1A of the Celtics.
Listen, Finals MVP, that's a good start to the case. I think anyone that says he's better than Jason Tatum is trying too hard. I don't think
Yeah, he's
they're
not
like
yet. He's
bad
not
at analyzing sports, but I think they're trying too hard to have like a hot take. We get it. You watch the games, you don't have to lie. Tatum's really good. And I think you and I are kind of in tandem on the Tatum talk, alliteration intended, that he's underrated by most, but overrated by just enough people that it's like a little annoying and you kind of don't mind when he's underrated.
Yep.
Um, so
Seriously.
that's where it's at. All right. Team number two. This is one of the most interesting teams in the NBA this season, and I am jealous that they play in the Western Conference, and Zach gets to talk about them with an over-under of 56.5. The OKC Thunder, sir, are yours. The floor is as well.
So my burning question with them, honestly, could like could go many different ways with this team. I mean, they got new pieces, they got a lot of depth. But for me, the biggest question is, I think all those things will work itself out with Dagnall. I'm not worried about him at all. But my burning question is, can Shea get enough help in the playoffs? I mean, they had a pretty deep run last year, and I didn't see much from anybody else or enough to make it seem like they have the group yet. I give everybody a pass in their first playoff, so it's whatever to me. It's not a big deal, but we still got to see it. And so hopefully Jalen Williams or Chet can prove that they can be good enough to give Shea the support he needs to win a championship and be a true contender this year.
Yes, sir. The fact that they added Caruso and Hartenstein just by giving up Giddy is like the main factor here. It's the fact that they were already good and now they're more versatile, they're better, they're more talented, they can play more schemes. That was already their identity. Their identity is being a chameleon and being able to play any style of basketball. They didn't really have a big bruiser though. And now they have Isaiah Hartenstein. He's high IQ. He'll be making great reads from inside the paint and passing out to the corners to open shooters. Like these were two really, really smart ads by the Thunder front office. I think the OKC Thunder don't have a second scoring option that's emerged yet. We'll see if J-Dub or Chet can emerge this season. They're going to be really scary. And I think they'll win over 60 games. It's never easy, but like easily. You know what I mean? That
I
said,
mean, I think J-Dub and Chet are both really close to a number two during the regular season,
regular
though, right?
season, sure, but
Yes.
J-Dub, man,
It's
I love
terrible in the
him.
playoffs.
I was high on him. Well, he had one series, but it was bad. So, not one series, 1 year, like one
Yeah.
year worth of series, one playoff run, but it was bad. And they needed him to score, and they relied on him to score, and he didn't. Is that lemon lime Gatorade?
No.
What the hell is that, dude?
The juice. It's the juice. Show sponsored Mountain Dew.
It's like, what the hell color is that?
Mountain Dew.
All right. So the OKC Thunder are going to be really good. I'd go over on the 56.5. Player to watch for me. I want to be an asshole and be like Aaron Wiggins. No, it's Chet Holmgren because like he can emerge this season as being really freaking good, especially now that they have Hartenstein too to mix and match the front court lineups. J Dub and Chet at the 4 and 5 is awesome. Chet and Hartenstein at the 4 and 5 is awesome. Two completely different styles of basketball. Chet, the common denominator, is shows his versatility, and um, he Chet's kind of like the anti-cat. Like they could both play the
Mhm.
4 or 5, but for different reasons. Like if Cat's playing the 4, it's because you don't want him defending at the 5. The Thunder were best with Chet defending at the 5, but offensively, you kind of want him at the 4. Chet's like the yin to Cat's yang. Um, but yeah, so that would be my take there.
You said you didn't want to be the asshole, but you should go back and listen to your picks last year when we did most improved player from each team. There's some creative ones. I will give you that. So I'm expecting some wild players here. That's why I thought this exercise was really fun last year. But for me, it is also Chet because I think his ceiling is so high, and I think he's not even close to touching it yet.
Not for sure,
Um,
not.
and like Jalen Williams, yes, he's got more to go. I just don't think he has near as much to go as Chet. I think Jalen was way more polished last year. Also, he's got another year above Chet under his belt, so that also matters. But yeah, Chet Holmgren should be the most improved guy on this list.
I love it. Next up, man, the Denver Nuggets. I remember the days when predicting the Nuggets to win 65 games was like you were low on them. Now this year, 52 and a half. The over under on the win total. Zach, what question do they need to answer this season and who do we need to watch out for?
Yeah, it's a pretty obvious question. It's pretty glaring, I'd say. I sound basic for saying this, but what's their bench going to be like? Where's their bench scoring, just contributions coming from? Yes, you can say Russell Westbrook, but he's kind of been all over the place the last few years. And I mean, he's always a big question mark. I mean, the last 2, 3 years for sure. I mean, the Washington Wizards would be his last pretty straightforward, consistent season. And that was, yeah, 3 years ago now, I'd say. So with that said, I mean, you're relying on him, Peyton Watson. I mean, who else? Like, I just don't think anybody's going to be too crazy consistent. It's just going to come night after night, somebody different. Like my guy, most improved is going to be Christian Braun. I think he's going to be starting though most of the time. Julian Strother, I absolutely love, but like he hasn't shown absolutely anything yet. So we'll see. Trey Alexander's on a two-way there. I mean, maybe some deep cuts, but like, do you believe in anybody on that bench
I mean, I love Trey Alexander, but like the fact that you even felt like it was reasonable to bring him up there,
of
which
two-way
it
guy
which it was reasonable to bring him up there, is where they're at. So like
Hunter Tyson
Nikola Jokic, can you
and
hear
Tyson?
me? Nikola Jokic, if you can hear us, please save us. Please save us, Nikola Jokic. If you can hear, like, that's where they're at right now. That's where they're at. Um, so like, we're gonna see. We're gonna see. I think Russ is really interesting because Jokic wanted him on the team. Our guy Adam Mares was all over that. Friend of the show talking about how Jokic was the one who wanted uh Russ on the team, and that was on Adam's show that was like first revealed. I don't think Russ is good. Um, Now I think he can play well, and I think he will play well several times for the Nuggets this season. I think he's better than Monte Morris, who someone told me recently they should have gone with over him. I disagree there. But Russ isn't better than Peyton Pritchard or Deuce McBride at basketball. And like I think if they had Peyton Pritchard or Deuce McBride on their bench unit, they'd be better off and people would still be laughing at their bench unit. Like, no one's going to save this bench unit. Hunter Tyson, the MVP leap is not coming through that door, man. Like, um, we'll see. We will see how this goes. I think the Nuggets will win games in the regular season. I'm not super in on replacing Contavious Caldwell Pope with internal development from Christian Brown. Like, KCP's like one of the best at that role at what he does for a reason. Um, it wasn't the Nuggets that made him make the threes. Like ultimately they put him in a great situation, but he is who played well. And that's why he made what, 22 a year. Um, with the same win total as the Denver Nuggets, the Minnesota Timberwolves also at 52 and a half. Zach, this team is the reason that you've got the Western Conference on today's show. How are we feeling about your Wolf Pack featuring Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo?
Fan freaking tastic, man. Last thing on the Nuggets, I want to say they were 25th in bench scoring last year. So that's was a big deal last year and even more questions this year. So yeah, it's scary. And they're one team where it is actually important to have a strong bench. But my Minnesota Timberwolves. Okay, so obviously Cat left. That's the elephant in the room. They weren't great in the playoffs. Got the best bench in Timberwolves history. Out of all those things, the question I'm going with is how do they replace Cat? What is the best five that they can go with? I think it's going to take a lot of wiggling around. It's not going to be decided until probably midway point, hopefully, that we know the best five for this team. But there's going to be a lot of adjustments. I think there's guys like Nas and Julius that could be moved around, and one of them could be coming off the bench and starting. There's Dante, Mike Conley, there's Rob Dillingham. Like, there's so many different ways this team can go. But I'm really excited. I think this is the best depth in Timberwolves history. I firmly believe that. But yeah, how do they replace Cat is my burning question.
Prayer and Anthony Edwards being a real superstar. Um, yeah. Shout out the recreation of the Moss Garnett cover.
Oh, it was beautiful.
That was really cool. That
I
was
shed a
really cool.
tear.
All right. With that, it brings us to the New
Who's your
York
player for the
Knicks.
Wolves, though?
Oh,
Who's
my
your
player
play?
for the Wolves,
I'm going with Rob Dillingham, even though it's a rookie, but I think he's
Dante.
gonna exceed expectations. But yeah, Dante would be my other one that's not a rookie.
Dante most improved, Randall the player to watch. Will he be a Wolf at the end of the season? Will that be an in-season move they make? We'll see. We will see. Um, I think this is all like not out of the question. So, yeah. But I'd go with Dante. He's super fun, super competitive. You're gonna love him. You are going to love Dante DiVincenzo is the kind of player, like every player has weaknesses. You kind of just don't care about Dante's because he's so good at what he does. You're never like, oh, I wish Dante could handle the ball better and play point guard. Like, nah, it's fine. He can play the two. It's all good. Like he's really good at that.
That is a
Um,
great point. I honestly nitpicked Dante all the way until he got to New York, and then I just forgot about everything because he's so fun.
because you're like, you know what, man? This is his role. He's killing it.
Yeah.
Let's just I'm gonna just let him rock. All right. Next up is the New York Knicks. The win total is 54 and a half, but they were listed in the wrong spot on this site. So thanks. Anyway, I would go under on the Knicks 54 and a half. The regular they'll be better in the playoffs than the regular season. Like they've got to do something about getting healthy and the bench. But for me, the biggest question the Knicks need to answer is their game of rush hour is it where you move one thing to fit another to then move that and fit in. Hart isn't a shooter, but Cat isn't a rim protector, but OG is. McHale is a defender that Brunson isn't. Blah blah blah. Like, well, all these moving pieces and parts actually cover each other up, or will we be in the middle of the season being like, wow, the Knicks are so good at everything they just cannot defend the rim? Oh wow, the Knicks are so good at everything, but they are just not getting enough offensively out of McHale, Hart, and OG to like work. I think this will go well for New York. But that said, it is an experiment of sorts, right? I feel like the experiment tag could apply here because they've got two new starters. One of them's got the whole jump shot thing going on with Mikal Bridges. I'm personally unworried about that, but it could be a thing to start the season. It could be a factor. I think he'll probably go 3 of 6 from three tonight against Boston, and everyone will shut up. But there's a world that he goes 1 of 7, right? And like people will overreact and be scared and whatever. The big question though is, can everyone with their great strengths actually cover up for the weaknesses of others the way that the team build implies they will be able to? And for me, the player to watch on the New York Knicks, the obvious is Jalen Brunson. Like, this all comes down to, is he good enough to be the best guy on a contender? But for me, the player to watch is OG Anunoby. My hot take is that he will be above Mikal Bridges in the offensive pecking order of guys to go to get a bucket. And that seems a little blasphemous. That seems a little ridiculous. Kris, Mikal was just the number one option in Brooklyn. Of course, he's not a number one option, but he developed those skills on the ball. And OG is just a stand in the corner kind of guy. Wrong. I think OG showed in the playoffs when he
Mm.
had his playoff career high in about 1/2 against the Pacers that this guy's putting the ball on the floor. He's pulling up at the free throw line extended, and he does that little extra hop after he shoots too, where he's like almost like praying it goes in. He's got some juice. And Sam Vecini told me 3 years ago that he thinks in the next 2 to 3 years, OG Anunoby is going to emerge as more of an offensive option than people think. He thinks that he has some on-ball juice. I've not checked in with Sam on this take since the Knicks traded for OG, which was December 30th, 2023. That
Good
said,
date.
I do think that he's on track, that Sam's going to be right. And I think that OG is someone who is so understated in his game and off-court personality. It's very easy to just think, oh, Mikal got a bunch of shots up in Brooklyn. I think it's Jalen, Cat, OG, then Mikal right under. Like, I think OG is going to be a surprise on offense to a lot of people this season. They're going to be, the Toronto fans are going to be like, what, where was this in Toronto? He never played this hard for us, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be that kind of year from OG Anunoby. He's going to be very much worth
Bro,
being the highest paid Nick ever.
you took the words right out of my mouth, honestly, because OG was my guy, and I literally was a Mikal guy between the two of them because they've been compared for a lot of their career, I think, and I have been comparing them personally. But I've been a Mikal over OG guy up until literally the playoffs last year, and I saw enough out of OG where I give the edge to him, to his role, to his growth here, to having a little more upside than what Mikal has, and then you add in that funky shot doctor shit. What's going on, Mikal? A little worried, little worried. Yeah, players go through it, but I didn't see Drew Hanlon out with him. So if Drew Hanlon's not by your side and you're going through shooting stuff, I'm a little worried, a little worried. But with that said, I mean, yes, there's plenty of other good shooting coaches out there. Don't get me wrong. I don't know who Mikal's is, so I'm not going to make any declarations for that because there's great ones out there, and then there's a bunch of other mediocre guys that make Mikal shot look like Mikal shot right now. But I don't judge until I see it in a real game, anyways. Real game.
Exactly. Like, I don't know. The Mikal jump shot stuff feels like uh ha.
Markel. Is it Mikal or Markel?
No, it feels like the Jalen Brown left hand stuff. It feels like the easy target. It
Oh,
feels
then let's
like
stop talking about because
it
that left
feel
hand don't matter.
exactly. All right. With all that said, let's move on. Next up, we're staying in the East for a little bit. The Philadelphia 76ers, 50.5 is the win total. The question that they need to answer, god damn it, is how many games are Paul George and Joel Embiid going to play? Because I want to tell you right now that this team is going to be the second seed in the Eastern Conference. I want to tell you right now that they're going to win more games than the New York Knicks, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Orlando Magic, the Indiana Pacers. I want to tell you that this is a really great basketball team that's going to win more games than people think, and I can't. I cannot. because we don't know when Joel Embiid's going to get on the goddamn 94-foot hardwood, and we don't know how often Paul George is going to be out there. It's so frustrating.
Couldn't even make it to
Kawhi,
night one.
Kawhi and Embiid are two of the best basketball players I've ever seen with these two eyeballs play in real life on a court, and they just aren't there when you need them. And it's not their fault. I'm not like shaming or blaming or framing. I'm just saying the facts, which is that Embiid is not supposed to be ready to play. Here we are again. So, yeah, that's tough. The player to watch for me on the 76ers last year style pick would be Ricky Council, right? That would be the name that I'd give you that you'd be like, okay.
I'm a
Um,
Ricky Council guy.
but
I
I,
can
I
dig
do
it.
think I do think the answer is Caleb Martin.
Mm.
He's super important for them. He's super important for them because if everyone else is who we think they are, we need to see if that Miami Heat culture, role player, dark magic is going to transfer to the city of brotherly love. If it does, that starting five is going to be pretty versatile and tough. If it doesn't, they're going to be rotating in a new starter every week, like an NFL team without an offensive line. They're starting 7 different O lines in the first 7 weeks of the season. We're going to see all sorts of guys that have no business starting getting shots, and they're going to bring Caleb off the bench to try and get him going offensively or whatever, however they'll spin it. Um, but I think he can be good for them, and I think he will be. So there's my like X factor player to watch for Philly. It's just so frustrating that Embiid is not supposed to be ready to go.
Yeah, I thought for sure he should be ready by night one, and Paul George is just kind of fluky. I think he would have been. Just something, of course, happened like it always does. Uh, but here's the thing: there's two ways of looking at it. One, the more games they miss, the more they might be ready for the playoffs. The closer it gets, the less tread on them. But also, that means the team chemistry isn't going to be nearly as good, and those things you got to work out and whatnot. Uh, but at the same time, you want your stars just to prove health. You prove it, and it lasts. And it's so shitty. It's the worst to have two of those guys on your team. My player to watch, though, Caleb Martin's a good one. I like that. I think his 3-point percentage could get back into the 40s this year and be a career high as long as everybody's when people are healthy. I think he's going to get a lot more attempts, obviously, without Paul George. But my guy's Jared McCain. I
Love it.
think he should be an impact guy pretty quickly, or at least get 15, 20-ish minutes. And I like him. I think he can vibe with a lot of different lineups. And I don't know defensively where he'll be at, but I think offensively he's going to bring some fun. Hopefully the shots fall and he is important to them.
I I got to say that I think he might actually get to play to start the season if these injuries are looking the way they're looking.
Start the kid.
Wow. You got I'm not there. No, it's too small. Him and Maxi are too small. I'll be Tom Tibbs. They're just too small. But I love McCain. I was high on him in the draft. Next up, also at 50.5, the Milwaukee Bucks. What a weird team, man. What a weird team. I think the biggest question here, the real biggest question is Damian Lillard an NBA superstar? Can he play at that level? Because if he can't, ooh, 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 they are gonna stink. They're gonna be like a 6, 7 seed at best if Dame is not Dame. That said, Dame just has to be Dame for them to be good. Uh, does he still have that in the tank? We don't know. I wish we knew. We don't. So because of that, I'm a little wary. The bench concerns me. You know, I feel like the Suns did this last year where they went out and got a bunch of guys on minimum deals that no one else really wanted that badly. And everyone was like, they signed some of the biggest steel contracts and they put this bench together and I remember we had Dwayne Rankin on the show and he was like, yeah, the Suns were wheeling and dealing with these minimum contracts. Like even over there in Arizona, the vibe was high. And then they all sucked. Everyone sucked except for Grayson Allen, who earned a payday. So that's kind of brutal, man. I think the Bucks are this like Gary Trent Jr. is not your savior, bro. I promise you he was on the market
Mm,
for a reason.
I'll push
I
back there.
I think he's a nice player. I also think his style of offense and his style of player is being actively phased out of the NBA. Where is Evan Fournier at?
Good. I like
Not
that comp. I like
not
that.
America. So like he's playing overseas. The, the guys who are great 3-point shooters who work the in between, they can move horizontally within the 3-point arc and pull up. They can work the left to right. They're kind of dead. Like just let the superstar do that shit, dude. I just like these guys are kind of getting phased out. Malik Monk has more game than that. That's why he's who he is, you know?
How much more is the real question. There was a time where I thought it was pretty close, but yeah, you're right. Last year, Monk separated himself a decent amount. Um, I would put this up with one of the worst benches in the league. I do not like this bench outside of Gary Trent Jr. And I think he's got a good chance at starting. And Pat Connaughton, I think, regressed a decent amount last year.
He's Connaughton's a
Bojan,
fine player, but like,
yeah, I
you
think
know,
he's, yeah, I think wherever you thought he was at his peak, I think he's a little off that, which is not good. And Beauchamp hasn't taken the leap like they've wanted. So yeah, you're gasping at straws with this team, especially with Chris Middleton out. Injuries deplete this team. My player that I think really the only player I think that can take a solid jump is Damian Lillard. From where he was last year, I thought he was probably 90% of his peak. I'd say that's a fine number. Maybe that's in question, but yeah, I think he needs to get back to at least 97% of his peak, 95-ish, for this team to be any remote contender. This team needs a developmental coach too. Man, Doc ain't doing it.
I yeah, we'll see. Isn't it Doc and Darvin Ham now? Like they're like the two lead coaches there. No, they're both good coaches who have been in the league for a while, but like head coach, I don't know if either one of them is a good head coach right now. And two not good head coaches is definitely worse than just one
Yep.
good head coach. So that's where they're at. We'll see. Budenholzer, Phoenix Suns, man. Maybe they wish they still had him in Milwaukee. Next up, back to you, Zach, for the Dallas Mavericks. The player to watch for me on the Bucks, I guess I want to say Marjon Beauchamp, but like it's Dame. We can just be honest. It's like Dame is the guy he's the biggest question and he's the player to watch. So Zach, the Dallas Mavericks are yours. 49.5, the win total. What do we think?
Yeah, I don't got a lot to say about the Dallas Mavericks, but my question is, how much does Klay Thompson have left? I think they need something else that they didn't have last year. They need an extra lift when Kyrie's shot's not falling, when Luke is a little bit tired. Klay, I think definitely Pete Klay could be that guy. I think Klay at times last year could have been that guy. It's just he's looked terrible in the preseason. He definitely declined a solid amount last year. The Luka would have to be in peak shape for this last year's version of Klay to be the guy. So they need him. They really do. They're invested in him and the role he's going to play on this team. But Klay Thompson is my biggest question, but my player that I think is going to improve the most is Derek Lively. I think he's got
Okay.
more game in him than he showed last year.
I think he was really good last year, but then also like in the playoffs showed you a little bit of some limitations. I think most importantly for Dallas is just limiting those limitations. I don't think he needs to show crazy offensive growth or anything. Just defensively, be
Yep.
in tip top shape, be switchable, all that good stuff.
Yeah, no dumb fouls. I mean, just grow intelligence as a player. I think,
Absolutely, with experience. He'll keep growing, and Dallas should be good. I just don't think they're going to be top of the West or top of the league um, at all. And I think there was some like a little magic to their run last year that I don't know that they'll just magically recreate. I've also been loud about not loving swapping out Jones Jr. for Najee Marshall. The hope is that he's the same player, but like better. And I just don't. I think maybe he could be the
not there
same
either.
player. Yeah, like I did. We'll see. Um, you know, we'll see. So yeah, that's that for the Mavs, in my opinion. Next up, the Cleveland Cavs at 48 and a half. My biggest question for them is what is their roster going to look like after the trade deadline? Right? Like, does Jared Allen for Trey Murphy happen? Does it happen? Does it
Yeah,
make too much sense? You know, maybe it makes too
sign me
much
up.
sense to happen. Um, we'll see, but like, I don't know. New Orleans has Daniel Tice and a rookie at center, dude. That's what they're working with. They got Herb Jones at center. God damn it.
We're about to
That's
see how good Tice really is. Dude's a dog. I like Tice a
I
lot.
like him. I like him. But like, they're trying to be a serious ball club. They're starting Daniel Tice. I
Clippers would have won round one if they would have played him.
man. All right.
Smoking takes right there.
You're smoking something. All right. With the Cavs, the question for me is what will the team look like after the deadline? Because if this is the team, they're not winning anything in the East. Maybe another playoff round. Whoop-de-doo. The player to watch for me on the Cleveland Cavaliers, I guess I'll say Mobley, I think will start doing some really good things, but the guy they really desperately need to be good is Darius Garland.
That's
So
who I was falling on too. I was trying to decide between him and a Coro or trying to dig up something, even with like a Sam Merrill or something. But no, I think they need Garland to be above 40% from three. They'd need him to be confident and consistent and just need to be a leader out there versus just a wingman for Donovan Mitchell and to try to be like this guy that's just a scorer that just tries to fit in. And that's where he faulted to last year a little too much. And yeah, I mean, he only played 57 games, and I don't think they ever were in that much of a groove together, but uh, they need to figure it out. It's they haven't even reached levels of Dame and CJ at their best yet, and that's that's who they need to be. You know, they need to be Dame and CJ at their best. And the good thing with the Cavs is the rest of the pieces are better around them than what the Blazers had in those heydays. But they have a chance to be better talent wise. They could be better than those two, but they haven't yet. So I want to see that. And then Isaac Okoro, I think he has the most to go yet out of any of the players on the team. Sorry, Evan Mobley does, but I still, I'm not picking Evan Mobley to take the jump this year. I'm taking Isaac Okoro to take a bigger jump than Mobley.
I love Okoro. I think he's really good. Like I think
Good,
he's
because
underrated.
I don't.
I think Okoro is underrated. Um, and I think they got the deal is good that they got him on. So we'll see. That'll be a steal. Like Okoro on that deal, I'll take that 10 times out of 10 over Jaden Hardy on his deal making less money. I
Mm,
will take Okoro on his deal over if Grimes gets paid like 15 mil a year paid, like he's really good with Dallas, I'd probably go Okoro too. Um, yeah. So we'll see. Is the 3-point shooting from last year a real career high percentage? We'll find out. Next up, 47 and a half, Orlando Magic. The player to watch is Paolo Banchero, and I'm going to say that right away because he needs to actually be good. Um, I think
Not
he's
good, great. He needs to be phenomenal.
I think he's fake good. Like he's actually good at the sport. When it comes to impact on the game in the role of a number one option, I'm not there. Um he does currently not justify the usage with the production. That said, this isn't D'Angelo Russell in Brooklyn. This is a young star on his first team on a rookie deal. Like I think it's going to go much differently, and I think Paolo will be good. Hall of Fame career, probably. I'll still ride with
Oh
him.
my God, dude.
What? What?
You're going
What?
off on this dude, and he's in year two. He made the All-Star game in year two.
I think we should talk about Paolo the same way we talk about LaMelo. I feel like it's like the harassment flirting meme with those two. It's like LaMelo,
Oh,
everyone's like,
LaMelo's
"Oh,
around level.
he's unserious, blah blah blah." And then Paolo, it's like, "Oh my God, the next league MVP." Like
Come
the
back.
rant aside, the Magic, like the question they have to answer is Paolo going to be someone that can be a number one option on a team that can win a playoff series? Because right now, I think that's the first thing holding them back from winning a playoff series. They've got the
Yep.
right build everywhere else. Uh, but
No,
again, Paolo's gonna be good. I just don't think he's as good as people think right now, and I think that consensus evaluation of him is leading people to think that Suggs, Wagner, Pope, Carter is like enough backup for him.
yeah.
I just don't know if they have the juice. I don't know if they have the juice. I think they'll win games because I think they'll be great defensively. I think they'll be I think there will be a bit of an awakening for the NBA community this season. I don't think people are going to finish the year being like, "Oh, the Franz deal was good," but I don't think that people are going to hate it to the extent that they did. There will still be several people who tell you it was bad, and maybe they'll end up being right. But I do think that he'll be good this year. For me, with the Magic, I just like they're building the right way, but it doesn't mean we have to lie about them while they do it. Like they're not.
Let me
Yeah,
cook.
exactly. Go.
You're 100% correct. I think you're just leading to putting a lot more pressure and getting way too more advanced on it. But then you came back around there in the end. Let's be real. Let's tell the truth of what's really happening here. Yes, this guy has done everything you want a number one option to do from year one to year two. I mean, across the board, statistics up, 3-point percentage up 4%, points per game up three, assists are up 1.5, two. Like his game has evolved. It's just personality wise and leadership wise. Yes, I want him to be a little more vocal. I want him to show it with his actions more, not just with his statistics. And clutch moments, um, just showing more polished game style come playoff time too, and not just so much free ball and free ISO play, and just a, a team guy that you can build around and match the play impact to his actual statistics, and his statistics keep growing at the same time. So I'm with you in everything you're saying. It's just I'm not worried about him whatsoever yet because I love the progress and the growth. It's just it's got to keep going, you know. Played 72 and 80 games his first 2 years. Like I have no worries about this guy right now. It's just yeah, he hasn't proven anything other than that so far. And he's on a very good defensive team, which is very rare for a guy like him to get that this early in his career. So I think he needs to capitalize on it and really focus on the offensive side of things. Um, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it will be interesting for Orlando. And like I said, they're building in the right direction. Um, Here's a team I think will be better than them this season. Zach, it's your turn to talk about the Memphis Grizzlies, 47.5. Floor is yours.
I like that you threw out that prediction. That's cute. My question is, can Ja get back to being Ja? And yeah, he showed flashes of it after he came back off his long suspension, but not enough, and he got injured pretty quickly. And then team's health is a huge question as well. I mean, Jaren Jackson Jr. has missed a bunch of games. Marcus Smart. But yeah, can Ja get back to being Ja and being just dominant, being the dog he is? No hesitations, no um, just mind games with himself and the rest of the team. And I think they have the pieces to be very good. I think they have the pieces to be a tier two team in the league. It's just tier one would be Jaren Jackson Jr. or Desmond Bain getting a lot better, and Zach Edey being the guy. So yeah, that'd be my question. Player to watch. I'm going with Zach Edey there.
I love it. I love it. I'm gonna go GG Jackson.
Yes,
Um,
great pick.
I love that. Yes. Yeah, no, Memphis is cool. Question they've got to answer is, are they like serious? You know, like no one's talking about them as a contender right now. I think people will be right for that. But I don't know that people are not talking about them as a contender for the right reasons. Like I think they're closer than people are acting. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? Next up, staying with you. Phoenix Suns, 47 and a half. Crazy that they have the same you know, same win total. That's insane. That's the
As
Grizzlies.
Memphis?
Yeah,
Okay.
isn't that crazy to you?
It
Kevin
is.
Durant, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker not moving the needle more than Ja and a rookie and Jaren. Like that's nuts. Go though, Phoenix. Talk to me.
Yes. So my question to them is plain simple. I thought they needed a point guard all year. Bradley Beal and Devin Booker were my exact worry from the beginning of the year, you can say. I mean, I didn't think they were going to be point guards. Either one of them were going to show that they could, and that was going to be the biggest issues. And it was. It was really similar to the San Antonio Spurs needing a point guard. And the funny thing is, uh, they got Tyus Jones here. So the Suns' big issues can all be solved with Tyus Jones from the starting lineup side of things, in my opinion. But their greatness is still going to come down to their bench as well. Like they have a lot of bench questions, but um, they weren't even a real contender last year at any point in time, and that was because they didn't have a true point guard. Now they do in Tyus, so I think he can give that starting lineup the boost they need. It's the bench will be the punctuation on the rest of the team.
Yeah, I hear you. It's I'm like so indifferent on this Phoenix team. You want to see them like work and be high powered and high flying and fun. And it's just I'd rather see the Magic be great. I'd rather see the Grizzlies be great.
Understandable, seriously.
Yeah, like this Phoenix team wasn't fun last year. They didn't inspire joy with how they played basketball. And so it's hard to
I
be
just don't want
excited
to
about
waste
them.
a Devin Booker year. Like
Uh-huh.
Devin Booker is a guy that I love watching play freaking basketball. It's art out there. KD, I'm kind of with you. I'm kind of over it.
Yeah. It's like I said, changing of the guard this year. Next up, Zach, we're staying with you. It's the Sacramento Kings, 46 and a half. Talk to me, man. DeMar.
You like the Kings more than me too, I think. But
I like the
uh
Kings.
DeMar is interesting because I don't like that he is going to be starting next to De'Aaron Fox. It's really weird to me. I would have much preferred DeMar coming off the bench being the sixth man there. But hey, he's a great player yet. He is very good yet. Just a sub all-star, I'd say. And that's a team that is very good in the regular season. Their biggest issues were defense. They didn't need more offense. The team is amazing on offense. So maybe DeMar gives them a little bit of a lift in clutch time when they do have the best clutch player already. I don't think the team can get worse. Okay, that's what I'm getting at here. But DeMar's not boosting this team that is only going to be better if they get better on defense. That's what I've been saying for 3 years now. And so, yeah, I want DeMar to be on a good team because I think he's still got some in the tank, but it's just not enough for me. It's not enough. Hopefully, it's kind of fun.
The Kings are supposed to be fun, man.
They have been fun. DeMar can make them not so fun, I think, but
But
still good.
but better.
Yeah, better.
I'd
Yes.
rather they be less fun but better at ball. So yeah. All right. Next up, Indiana Pacers. The Pacers for me, the biggest question is it's tough because you want to say that they just like the answer to this and that they are just good enough. But for me, the biggest question is who will they trade for? They have ridiculous depth. How will they consolidate? Who can they go get? And I can't think of a name, but one of these days, randomly, I'm gonna be like reading a book or something, and it's gonna hit me. I'm gonna be like, oh my God, they need to go get uh whatever, whoever it is. So, we'll see, but they've got to make some move because they can consolidate and still have a deep bench. And when you're in that situation and you have Halliburton and Siakam, you should just do it. So I think they're gonna do something. That's my take. That's my prediction. Who will the Pacers consolidate and trade for? And the player to watch for me on the Pacers, really honestly, is Pascal Siakam in the sense where he has such great feel for the game and he's so smooth out there. And that's Halliburton's style too. Like, can Siakam emerge as a number one option, go to scorer that he was in Toronto kind of by necessity? But can he do it in Indiana with the synergy that the great passers on that team have and really be a go-to guy that can take them to the next level? Because they're ready for the next level, but I think a trade has to come first. Pascal obviously will be on the team after that trade, and I think he will be really important to any winning that goes on in Indiana. Pascal will be a huge part of it. So he's like my most important player for them this season. I guess that's a credit to Halliburton. But it's also that like if someone is going to take a different step as a player, I think it's more likely to be Siakam. I think Halliburton is really elite at what he's elite at. And they've also kind of understood his limitations really well and done well at hiding them. Carlisle's great. Um, Siakam, though, he's the one that more pressure falls on to me, especially being much older.
Man, that's interesting. Wasn't sure which way you were going to go there, but a
I think they
trade
win a lot of games. I think they win
trade
a lot of
thoughts with
games.
these guys are interesting because it would be a pretty mid-level player for who they'd be consolidating, a bunch of their youth, I guess you can say.
Mathurin,
Um,
they could trade Mathurin and someone else and go get a
yeah,
scorer.
the only guys they'd keep for sure would be Pascal and Tyrese Halliburton and maybe Miles Turner. But uh, yeah, we'll have to talk trade talks for Pacers another time here. Uh, you got my mind swirling now. But my guy to watch is Benedict Mathurin. They missed him last year in the playoffs. I think he's got a lot of upside yet. I've been banging the drum since he came into the league. They brought in more talent to, I mean, make things harder on Mathurin's growth. That's for sure. That's why I didn't think you saw the jump from year one to year two, even though you did 4% from 5% from three. Sorry. And then efficiencies elsewhere, a little more rebounding, not a ton, but just more polished, I guess you can say. But I just think his fit isn't great with the team yet right now. I think he's a guy that is just out there, and he's a solid player, but I'm not saying like he's a solid starter by any means. He's a really good bench player right now, I'd say Mathurin is. But I want to see him become a great starter that I believe he can and show some more effort on defense as well.
You know me. I'm not super high on Mathurin right now as a player. I don't think he's very good, but he can be. I just think they're a little better now than their timeline was. Like their timeline now, because of how good they were and the fact that they made it to the ECF, like they should push. And I think moving off someone like Mathurin is like a necessary evil. It would be awesome if they held on to him and he developed and grew, because he'd be an awesome fit with Halliburton. Really, like a developed Mathurin would be a really nice fit with Halliburton out there. I just think they can go get someone right now using him and using draft picks and using whatever. Like they don't even have to use picks yet to go out and get better. They can
Jeremy
do,
Grant.
I don't hate it. Like salary and Mathurin and like one protected first, maybe. I don't know. I
We can't go down that.
they should try not to dip into picks yet. Just use players to start. Walker and Mathurin. I love Walker. But we'll see with them. It's tough. It's tough. I think they'll make a trade. Next up, same win total over under 46.5. It's the New Orleans Pelicans. I think the Pacers definitely win over 46.5. I'm not so sure about the Pelicans, man. What do you think?
I've never loved the Pelicans, man. It's been, I can't think of the last Pelicans team I've ever loved. And they still have a lot of interesting players. Like they're entertaining to watch because they have depth. They have guys that play different styles, and I'll be watching them a lot, honestly. I will enjoy it too, just because you don't know what you're getting night in and night out. But I don't like their upside. They haven't proven they can play together well enough yet. And there's way too many questions for me. My burning question for them would be, how do they get better? Just flat out. Like, I think Zion's not going to get a ton more better than he is already. I just don't see that. Brandon Ingram's tapped out too. I mean, Trey Murphy, sure, but Trey Murphy won't become his best self unless Brandon Ingram's gone, in my opinion. Like all of these things, like DeJounte Murray coming in, huh, that's interesting. That's very interesting. I love DeJounte Murray, but like he's another player that just outside of defense, he doesn't fit that well. Let's be honest. Like he needs the ball a little more than people think he does. Sure, he's a great defender next to CJ. That's important. It's just weird. It's a weird team. Might be the weirdest team in the league, in my opinion. But it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be interesting. They got some guys that can get better. They do. Jordan Hawkins, yes. It's just, will they play as much as I think? Probably not. My player I'd go with is definitely still going to be Trey Murphy. Same guy I've been with like 2, 3 years in a row now. I love Trey. I think he's got more to go.
I think he can. I think that extension signals they think he can step up a little bit on both ends of the floor. And he projects like he should be able to. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it moving, Zach. Los Angeles Lakers, 43.5. You're up.
43 and a half. I didn't see that coming, honestly. Wow. This is a funny follow-up. I promise you, this is the only two teams I got the same question for, but it's where will they be better than last year? Okay, like I got more answers with the Pelicans. I believe there's more growth to be had in the Pelicans, but the Lakers, you got LeBron and AD going one way, and then how much better can Austin Reeves get? Dalton Connect is unreal, but is he gonna get a role that actually unleashes him? Don't think so. Yeah, where do you see these guys getting better than last year? Like Dalton Connect's my only
I was
thought.
gonna say Connect Rookie of the Year, maybe.
And how often does a rookie lead to those levels, that
No, I hear
actually
you.
impact the team overall?
I hear you. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll talk about this team more as the year goes on. And we previewed their season with Kendra Andrews. If you haven't checked that out, we can move right on to the Miami Heat, 44.5. Again, I don't know why they're under the Lakers when it's a win higher. This anyway, I'm gonna keep going with this website's order because it's honestly comical to me at this point that they keep getting it wrong. The Miami Heat, what's the big question? The big question is Jimmy Butler, do you still got it? Jimmy Butler, do you still got it? Now, everyone knows he's a good basketball player. His worst game he'll have this season, he will impact the game in positive ways no matter what. That said, is he a dude? Can he elevate to being a guy like he has? Because recently he's just been playing around with that switch. He knows he's got it. He keeps it in his pocket. And when it gets to the playoffs, he says, I'm a superstar now. How long are we going to keep doing this? And my player to watch is Bam Adebayo because I think he might be damn near better than Butler at basketball at this point.
Wow.
Bam might be their best player this season. And those are my heat takes. Those are my heat takes.
Some people are trying to get in front of that like 2, 3 years ago on Bam, and it just pissed me off. It's gonna start not pissing me off sooner than later because it's gonna become a reality. I agree, but we're not there yet. I think we still got one more year of excellent Jimmy Butler, maybe two. We'll see, but uh, I could also be wrong. Bam could also take another leap. Team USA leap is a real thing, and he had a good run with them. I will say my player is Jaime Jaquez. I just think his 3-point shooting should go up 5% minimum this year. I think he'll be 37, 38%. I think he's going to become maybe their third best player, maybe jump Tyler Hero. I think he's got that in him. We'll see. But yeah, that's what my Miami Heat thoughts.
We're hoping that everything goes well so they can be a 5 seed. Like they're just not moving me this year. I think they're in a bit of a transitional phase, is the way I'll put
Word
it.
of the podcast, transitional.
The next team is the Golden State Warriors at 43.5. Zach, they play in the West. You're up.
The Golden State Warriors, man. This is simple for me. Their only area where they can get anywhere, it all relies on the shoulder of Jonathan Kuminga. And my burning question is how good is Jonathan Kuminga? How good can he become? Yes, Podziemski's got a long way to go, but his ceiling isn't nearly as high as Kuminga. They didn't trade Kuminga for Paul George. They didn't trade him for Lauri Markkanen. Jonathan Kuminga, the world is your oyster, my friend. Take it. Do it. Go be that guy. Take the Pascal Siakam leap that many think. Take the Kawhi Leonard leap.
Oh,
I'm
don't.
not there.
I
I'm
was
not
just
there
about
on
to say,
Kuminga.
someone just told me the other day he could have a Siakam or Kawhi type career arc. And I was like,
Those are two separate.
no,
Yeah.
the hell he can't have a Siakam or Kawhi type career arc. Maybe Siakam.
I do think Siakam, he could. He could definitely. Kawhi Leonard, I mean, the arc he's on, he's probably a little behind right now at this point in his career. I think Kawhi was winning his first title with the Spurs, becoming a finals MVP, but statistically, that's the worst when people do that. Statistically, you can kind of make the argument that we could do so many bad ones on the blind statistics. I hate that. But no, nope, nope, nope. Kawhi Leonard was all defense by his second year in the league and just a stud. He'd need an astronomical jump. But anyways, I think Kuminga would be the reason they're anything above a 7 seed. Anything above a 7 seed is going to be because of Jonathan Kuminga. Who's your player?
I want to say Kuminga, man. I've been loud in saying I think he will, can, should be, in a couple years, like a championship team's Aaron Gordon. I think he can play a
You
big
did say
role.
it.
I think he can play a big role on a
That's not
championship
good
winning
enough,
team.
though.
For this season, not good enough to get the Warriors where they want to go. Like we talked about them with Kendra as well.
That's not even Pascal Siakam.
They're
So
they're stuck in this transitional phase right now where they're like, Steph, please carry us. But we're not gonna do right by you and give you, like, they assembled like the mid-vengers to replace Clay. Like none of the guys they got are bad. None of them are like changing the course of your season. Melton, Slow-Mo, I love both. Neither of them are changing how the Warriors season is going to go. They're just helping them maintain the status quo of they're okay. And that's not inspiring. Next up, the Houston Rockets, 43 and a half, just extended Sengun and Green. Zach, what do you think?
Yeah, those extensions sure are something. Hoping that they both age really nicely. I think they can. But they also, the Jalen Green one, I'm a little more worried about. But the question is very, very important for the Rockets, arguably the most important and hardest one to answer because it's the biggest and arguably one of the greatest young cores ever assembled in NBA history, in my opinion. I truly believe that. It's who is going to be a part of the core in the long run. Like, we don't know, like, is this team being built around Alperen Şengün right now? Is Jalen Green going to be a top three option on this
This
team?
is
Like,
this is another consolidation team. They've
oh,
got to
it
have
should
something
be
coming.
the biggest consolidation, but like, how do teams even know who they want off this team right now? Like, whew, this is like you could do a draft lottery off this team. Like, there are two NBA starting lineups on this team. I truly believe that. Um, Good luck to Ime Udoka, who I don't think loves to develop or loves to um, really go too deep into his bench, which seems to be like could be a massive issue with what needs to go on in Houston. So we'll see, because the only guys that this team has right now that are ready to play basketball on a winning level right now, you could say Alperen, Fred VanVleet, Dylan Brooks,
Tari,
Tari, kinda.
don't sound hesitant.
No, on a winning level is all I'm saying. Like, I freaking love Tari, but from where Ime would want these guys
He's
and where
he
they are, like, I want to see Reed Shepard get 35 minutes a game, man. Doubt
uh,
it. Cam Whitmore,
that'll be
what,
fun.
what, you know,
Tari's good.
Thompson,
Tari's good. I didn't like your
so
hesitancy.
much.
I didn't appreciate your hesitancy.
Most intriguing team in the league. I'm gonna leave it on that. The Houston Rockets for me.
You think they can be like really good?
Intriguing just means interesting.
Mid is interesting to you?
Honestly, curiosity, questioning, like,
Okay, like what
just
do they actually have in
blank
these guys?
canvas.
What
Yeah.
do they actually
My
have in these?
burning question
Okay.
was who is a
Okay.
part of the core for the long run?
There you go. There it
That's
is.
why they're intriguing. It's a big mystery box.
Speaking of not knowing who's part of a team's core for the long run, you're next up with the Los Angeles Clippers.
Oh, you're drilling me. Just banging these out. All right. Um, bur- Burning question is Kawhi Leonard's health. Breaking news. It's in question, folks. The rest of the team, I think, is what they are. I mean, Harden, is he going to get back to 90% of his peak, 95, 100, he may say. We'll see. But Kawhi Leonard, regardless what percentage of Harden's peak he gets to, it won't matter unless Kawhi Leonard is healthy. So pretty simple.
Okay. You have a player
Most
that's not
intriguing,
Kawhi?
yeah, Jordan Miller.
That's an interesting one. That's a fun one. But I can't say that I see him moving the needle for them at all in terms of where they're
Probably
at as
not.
a team. We'll keep it moving. Atlanta Hawks, 36 and a half. I'm going to be insanely quick because we've got a couple teams left. What are they building? Like, what are they trying to do? They should pick a direction and lean in it. And the direction I think they should pick involves trading Trae Young to a team like Orlando for the most you can get for him. So we'll see how that goes. The player to watch for Atlanta, it's really easy. It's Zachary Risachet, number one overall pick, comes into the league, one of the least hyped number one overall picks, maybe the least hyped of the last 10 years or 10 drafts. Um, I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be a fine NBA player. So it'll be interesting to see him.
I mean, that's the easy guy to go with for sure. And I agree with everything you said. I love the question. I'm gonna go with Jalen Johnson being my player that I think is gonna improve the most, take the biggest leap.
I like that. I do like that. And I like the deal they signed him on in general. But I'll
I
actually
think
like
that's
it.
aggressive.
I think I'll actually like it if they trade Trey. If they don't, you're really hamstringing your ability to build a good team around the guy by betting on internal development like that. The thing is, those are the things they should be doing. But if they're taking that path, they should also trade Trey Young. So we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. The next team up on the list is the San Antonio Spurs, which means you are up 36 and a half.
Yeah, you'd think you'd want to make a question about their best player and one of the biggest freaks of all time, but my question is who's going to help make him better? I think he's going to internally self-develop like no other, and I think he needs help, as does every player in a team sport, to reach their actual peak and their ceiling levels, and that's held a lot of players back over time. And I think we missed out on a little bit of his rookie year because of the supporting cast he had. But with that said, does Chris Paul still have anything left in the tank? And what can he get out of Victor Wembanyama? I think if he does have something in the tank, I think he can get a lot out of him. I think he can do wonders for him. Playing with a real point guard, one of the greatest of all time, that from a guy that didn't have a point guard last year at all.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see what the vets can do for them, but I don't think either vet is like really good. Like I think Paul's days and Barnes's days of being top 20 at their position or top 15 at their position are certainly over for Barnes. I don't think he's top 20 at his position or 25. I don't even know what's a hot take for that, but like he's lost it defensively and Paul, isn't the same guy. So we'll see how that plays out. Next up, the Toronto Raptors, big dip to 29 and a half. The biggest question is how good is Scotty Barnes? I think RJ Barrett's just like a transitional guy for them. I think that
Pause.
he's got to soak up the usage while he's there. Quickly, they're trying to develop. Barnes, they're trying to develop. Like they have going on what Atlanta should look to have going on at some point this season, which is just let these guys play that we've invested in and see how good they can be and see what we need to get around them. Um, I don't know that I'm in on Scotty Barnes as a team leader. So it'll be interesting. Maybe quickly will step up. Maybe a Barrett will step up, but I wouldn't be confident about Barrett either. So it's tough. I don't know who's going to lead that team. It's got to be Barnes from a contract and hierarchy perspective, except that just I don't think that's him. And that's okay. That's not a bad
Yep.
thing, but I don't think that's him. So the player to watch for me is Emmanuel Quickly. Can he really have a season where he's a top 15 point guard? Can this guy, after being displaced by Jalen Brunson, have a Brunson type career arc where he goes to a new team to lead them and really takes off as a player? I don't think he'll be as good as Brunson is or was last season because that was a top 5 season in the NBA, but can quickly be a top 25 player one day. I think you might find out this season, if that's in the cards or not. Um, Toronto's going to be a fun, bad team. They will be a fun type of bad. They're not super interesting as a team because they're bad, but they will be a fun bad. Next up, the Charlotte Hornets, 30 and a half. Before I get to them, any Raptors takes from you, Zach?
Not really. I was gonna go down the whole of who would you prefer, like team wise, Raptors or the Hawks. That's such a tough question. We'll have to do that in another episode.
I would
Um,
take the Hawks and strip them for parts and build with Risa and Johnson and, Yak and
I just might like Quickly
Dyson.
and Barnes better,
I'm
but
not I
Trey
love
Young
quickly.
was
I love quickly, but I'm not a
right.
Barnes guy.
Okay, fair enough. I'll just say my player is Grady Dick. I think he's gonna improve quite a bit.
I um I really think that like he was so bad defensively last year that it made people become a little too low on him. I think he'll be fine. I think that'll shake itself out.
A lot of rookies are terrible defensively.
On to the Charlotte Hornets, 30 and a half. Brandon Miller, are you the leader of this team? Brandon Miller, are you the best player on this team? These are the burning questions for me this season because that'll tell you something about Miller and it'll tell you something about Ball. And that's what they've got to figure out this year. Not saying you've got to move either one. You don't have to, you never have to move someone. But I think they'll find out this year if they want LaMelo to be part of their plans going forward or not. I love the GM and head coach they brought in. They're setting a culture, they're setting a tone. They've got Taj Gibson and Kemba Walker there. Kemba, history with the franchise, now a coach. Taj, New York ties. And Reggie Cameron from the Knicks came over as well to become an assistant coach there. Like they straight up said, we want three guys that have spent time with the Knicks recently to come help instill a different culture here. And they got a new GM and head coach too. I love what they're building, but I don't know if I love how they're building it. So we're gonna find out this season how important LaMelo Ball is to what they have going on because he can be really amazingly good. Are they in a situation where he's at his highest trade value that he'll be at for a while? And it would be smartest of them to move on. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe there's no reason for them to move on. But if he comes out
Uh,
swinging and a team is willing to pay like a Mikal Bridges type trade package for him, but instead of Bogdanovich, like an interesting young player, I'm listening if I'm Charlotte. So um, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Player to watch for me on the Charlotte Hornets, Mark Williams. Can
mm,
you become a top 15 starting center in the NBA in the next couple years? I think so. So Mark Williams is my guy to watch.
I agree to everything you said. I like the idea of Brandon Miller becoming the one. The first teams that came to my mind on a much higher level, I don't think I'm comparing these as apples to apples, but like the Knicks with Julius Randle moving over for Jalen Brunson, and then Karl Anthony Towns in Minnesota moving over for Anthony Edwards. Just everybody knows the guy was the better player, and it wasn't something that needed to be forced. Kind of like it was really awkward. The transition of one versus two in Washington with John Wall and Bradley Beal. This is shouldn't be awkward at all. I think Brandon Miller. We've tried with LaMelo Ball as the one, even though you can say he's never had the teammates around him. So maybe he could still be the one, but I tend to lean in the camp that Miller is going to be the best player on this team, and they need a different personality, a whole culture shift, like you explained. And I like Brand Miller's mentality. I think he's a dog. I think he's a killer. I think he's a guy that people want to be around and play with. So, yeah, I would love to see it be kind of a peaceful transfer from a one to a two. But who knows? I think LaMelo's always going to be want to be that dude. It's just his style of play could also be really complimentary to anybody else, you know? So if he just plays that way and lets the other guy dominate when he needs to, you know, not being more like
I hear
a
you.
quick pass guy versus wanting to chuck too many up from deep. I think that would be the main transition LaMelo would have to take. Even though that's a lot of his game, it can be a lot of fun, but
I want to see it
all
impact
aware.
winning, man. I know that's like the boomer lame take. I want to see it impact winning. All right. Utah Jazz up next, 28 and a half. Zach, we have six teams left. I want to challenge you to that. How quick can we get through these six teams, man? Because like this is we're right now we are entering the world of these teams are going to be fighting tooth and nail for Cooper Flag. So
The
burning
Cooper Flag
question,
sweepstakes.
burning question, player to watch. Keep it pushing. I got a Knicks game to watch tonight, man. We got to get out of here.
All right. Utah Jazz. Who is a part of this core besides Laurie? That's my question. They signed Laurie long term when they could have traded him. So they obviously want him to be a cornerstone. And They need to figure out if there's anybody else on this team that can be a cornerstone. My player to watch is Taylor Hendricks.
I love it. That's fun.
I
Give me
believe
Keontae George.
even more fun.
Give me Big Key. Key and Bryce Sensabaugh. Yo, they have some of the most talented scoring guards to be drafted in the last couple years on that team.
Bryce Sensabaugh. Let's see what he's got.
I wasn't super high on him,
I'm
but I
not.
did like him. And some people that I know and think are better at draft stuff than me were like, no, this kid like is everything Cam Thomas is supposed to be. And I was like, wow. So we'll see. We'll see how it ages. Yeah, Utah Jazz, man. Go Laurie
He's got to
Markkinen.
get past Colin Sexton first play.
Go Finland. They should trade Sexton. They should trade Sexton. Sexton
Yeah,
deserves to play somewhere that wants to
I
win.
agree.
And they should want to play their guards more. Anyway, Chicago
Hell
Bulls.
yeah.
This is my realm here in the Eastern Conference. Chicago Bulls. The burning question: are you going to pick a goddamn lane? Are you going to pick a lane? Because I don't mind if you're rebuilding, keeping Vucevic around. I said I liked that deal, that extension for them. Zach LaVine is still on this team. I mean, how many games into the season do we hear that he's been shut down until he's traded? What are they doing playing him? And if you want to invest in Giddey and Buzelis' offensive usage, maybe the spacing from LaVine helps, but LaVine on that team is the clear number one option. Like, I think you're better off being good vibes, bad team with Kobe White and whatever. Like, I guess I don't know what they're doing, trading Caruso for Giddey just to still have LaVine and they've got Io, LaVine, Kobe, Giddey. Trade like two of those guys, man. Trade Io and
LaVine
trade
just needs to go. For the
trade
millionth
LaVine,
time, he needs to go.
trade LaVine and trade Io. Hey, Clippers should have made that trade you mocked up for them for LaVine.
I still want it.
I
Get it
see it.
done.
Detroit Pistons next up, 25.5. The player to watch is Cade Cunningham. But the thing is, that's such a cheat answer. And so I'm
It
going to put
is.
the pressure on Cade. He's my burning question. Are you an all NBA guy? Are you the guy that everyone talks about you like? Are you the guy that is going to justify 3 years of when you screw up, everyone's like, I don't see it. I pretend I don't see it. It's not his fault. It's not his fault. Um, I think he is. I think he can show that. Will he? The team's not good. They reek, but he has spacing, and that's good. Tobias Harris and who else did they get that people were like, oh,
They got Tim Hardaway Jr.,
Simone Fontecchio and Tim Hardaway Jr. Like, none of these guys are bad. Tim Hardaway
Paul
is not.
Reed, baby, Malik Beasley. They got dogs. No, they're not dogs. They
Yeah,
got shooters.
they
They got
got
shooters.
the dogs they have are like my cousin's 17-year-old dog that like can't see anymore. Like, I just like this. That's what they do. All right. Listen, the player to watch is Marcus Sasser. Talk about a dog. I think
That is a deep cut.
no, it's not. He's a better player right now than Jaden Ivey is.
What?
What? What? What? Turn on the tape. Turn on the tape. Put on the tape.
You believe that with your heart?
Put on the tape. Put on the tape. Turn it on. It doesn't lie. Men lie. Numbers lie. Women lie. Numbers can be manipulated. They lie. The tape doesn't lie. All right.
What
Portland
part?
Portland
Just tell me
Trailblazers.
one thing he's better at.
One thing he's better at? Defense. Anything related to defense?
Okay, I'll give you that.
3-point
That's-
shooting from anywhere? Pull up, moving, whatever, fading. I don't give a shit.
Oh, dude, no.
Oh, dude, yeah. All right. Portland
Oh.
Trailblazers, you're up. Talk to me about
No.
Donovan Clingan and their group of misfits.
He's the guy. He is the guy. He looks incredible in the preseason. Will it transfer over? There's my burning question. No. My burning question is, can Chauncey figure this shit out? This is year 3 for Chauncey. Has he developed anybody? Anybody? My answer is no.
Duop Reith. Good player.
Solid. Great.
He
Great
and Tumani
job,
Kamara.
Chauncey.
He and Tumani Kamara are good.
Yeah. how much of that is Chauncey's doing? I'm not thinking a whole lot. Yeah.
None of
Uh,
it.
this is his last year though. If these guys can't grow, they got to get something out of Scoot Henderson or Donovan, or Shaden Sharp. Somebody's got to pop. And my burning question is, can Chauncey figure this out? Time will tell. Uh, just different than the other guys, teams like Utah, who's a part of this core, because I actually believe in their coach. I love their coach. And then the Houston Rockets, I love their coach, but their players are actually really good. It's just figuring out who's going to become extra good and be a part of a winning team. So different problems for different coaches, but Chauncey's rightfully getting the one he deserves because he hasn't proven anything to me. He hasn't proven he can coach yet. You got to start with the bottom.
I hear you. I hear you. We're going back to me for the last two teams. And
Who's your player though for the
oh,
Blazers?
for the Blazers? Tumani Kamara.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Give me, I'm going with
you want
Scoot Henderson.
you want to do
Yeah,
that?
he's got can
You want
only
to play?
go up.
Now we're not moving on to shit. Now you've angered me, and you're gonna make me pull up some Tumani Kamara propaganda. Let's talk about it. 7.5 points, 4.9 rebounds, and 1.2 assists per game as a rookie. 2 offensive rebounds per game from the wing spot. 1.4 stocks in 25 minutes a game. His defensive EPM was better than 96% of the NBA last year. And he was on
Savage.
the Portland Trailblazers. This guy's a doggedy dog, dude. He's good.
How many teams could he start on in the league right now?
Only teams with incredible offensive insulation. So like New York, Boston, OKC.
He
Probably
could start
that's
on Boston, New York.
all right. I think interpreted the question differently than you did, or than you asked it. I think you asked it
Who
as
would he
in
start on right now?
what teams are so bad that they'd have to start him. I was
Oh, no.
answering what
No.
teams are good enough that they could hide his weaknesses. Okay. He should
More about
start
him than the
he
team.
should start on the Wizards, Jazz, Bulls, Blazers,
I mean, that's four, and that I'm
Nets,
not going to
Nets.
argue. Yeah, you should start on the Nets.
Hey, I've got a nice pull up. Um
No,
Not
I would
Detroit because they have All-Star.
no. Yeah, Detroit's got players. Jalen Wilson, we didn't even mention him. Jalen Wilson's my intriguing player of Brooklyn.
We haven't gotten to Brooklyn.
Oh shit.
That's why I'm gonna do it though. We'll do
Spoiler.
Wizards first.
Spoiler.
Washington Wizards. The burning question is like, how bad are you willing to be? Because they should be willing to lose every single game and just play the young guys. Valanciunas, I have this take because it's why I like the Vucevic extension. Bad teams, unless they have like a franchise center who's currently good, should pay up for veteran centers. I love Vucevic for Chicago, and I love Valanciunas for Washington. I don't get the Rashawn Holmes deal from them, especially considering they got Alex Sarr. But whatever. He doesn't have to play. It doesn't matter. Um, I do think that Washington is going to be a fun bad. The player to watch is not yet Sarr or Bub Carrington. It's Bilal Coulibaly. I think he can be decent this season, like legitimately solid, and that's would be incredible for his development arc if that's where he was at in this early in year two. So yeah, Bilal's the player to watch on the Wizards. Bub Carrington's my favorite player on that team, but Bilal's the player to watch. And I really like how this Wizards front office has been moving since they got hired. Like I like all their moves. I didn't like the Kaishan George draft pick. Shut me up. Looks great so far. So uh, I don't know anything. Clearly. But yeah,
Preseason. Don't be making
Wizards are on a good path. They're building right, and I think they're building the right way, and I think they're doing it the right way. Um, so yeah,
well,
they'll be terrible.
Those are
Who's
very
your
kind
player on
words.
Washington?
I'm going to be interested with Washington now because I'm so much lower on them than you are. It seems like from all over the place, but I do not want my young players to grow up around Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Poole. Sorry. Those aren't the guys. I mean, Malcolm Brogdon. Yeah, that's great.
I
Love
would
that he's
keep
around.
Kuzma. I would keep Kuzma and trade Poole if I were them.
But
Kuzma's not bad.
honestly, I think Corey Kispert's going to get even better this year.
Good
Alex
extension.
Sarr is super intriguing. He's probably the most interesting guy on the team and the highest ceiling, Alex Sarr, but Corey Kispert should become really NBA polished this year.
I
Longtime NBA starter should be like in cement this year, Corey Kispert. If not, no
yeah.
dice.
Yeah. We will we'll see, man. We'll see. I think that how do I put it? It'll be productive losing for them. And honestly,
I like that.
if they want to trade Kispert in a year for like a really nice package like they got for Denny, do it, dude. Do it. I don't know what the hell Portland was doing. I like if did you forget at any point this offseason that Portland traded for Denny Avdia? I did several
No,
times. I was like,
that's right.
oh yeah, they have Denny. Oh yeah. Whatever. Brooklyn Nets. Good God. This is the last chance you of the NBA. I mean, Jesus. Ben Simmons, Killian Hayes. This is the last chance you of the NBA this season. The question I have for the Brooklyn Nets is
How do you not get Cooper Flag?
how do how do how do you recover from a season where whatever happens on the court doesn't matter? Would you agree that whatever happens on the court this season for the Brooklyn Nets just doesn't matter?
Yeah,
So how
100%.
do you motivate guys to play hard?
You know
I
what's
guess
crazy
they're
though?
self-motivated because they're all fighting for their careers, but
Yeah.
like, god damn.
There's a world where this isn't the worst team in the NBA though. There is.
Yeah,
It's
sure,
an insane world to
sure.
think that there could be a team worse than this. But it's like even from their coaching hire, I'd like this coach maybe on a team that actually has hope. Jordy Fernandez, like, what? Why would you sign up for this? This is just death. This is just, oh, I got to coach in the NBA. See you never. You're in the NBA. Hey, maybe two. I mean, if Cooper Flake comes in, Jordy Fernandez probably gone. Like poor guy. At least he'll get an NBA check. That's nice. But man,
Yeah,
deal with Ben Simmons for a year, and there's just like decent players that are like sprinkled in this team a little bit, like Derek Whitehead, like could become a really good role player if Dennis Schroeder doesn't chuck up 26 shots a game.
we
But
don't need
Dennis
to.
could have want to average 24 a game. Who knows? He might. You start him at point guard, he might just say, what is this team? Cam, you're shooting it every time.
People are unironically betting Cam Thomas to lead the league in scoring because they think that that's where the Nets are at. Like he's not doing that. I promise, it's not happening.
I
All right,
think he needs better players around him to do that.
I I want to.
Like Mikal Bridges helped him be able to average that last year. I truly believe that.
Yeah, for sure. I want one hot take from you. It could be an award, a team standing, a player season. I don't care what it is. Give me one legit hot take that you genuinely believe for this next NBA season. I'll throw one and we're out of here.
God, wasn't ready for just a smoke and take. Bronny starts by the end of the year. Just kidding. No, that ain't happening.
You're going to hell. You want me to give mine?
Go.
Because you got nothing?
I guess this is tough.
You got nothing.
I got nothing.
My burning hot take that I genuinely believe has a chance of happening is Finals MVP Karl Anthony Towns.
I don't think that's that hot, but yeah, that's a good take. That's hot.
I think
If
it's I
to
think
get
it's
it
hot.
over Jalen Brunson's hot.
I think it's hot. And to predict the Knicks, like
I like the Celtics repeating. I mean, that's a hot because we haven't had one in 6 years, which seems to be so much further than it actually is. Uh, mm, God damn it. Oh, say the Warriors don't make the playoffs, and then Giannis or Dame could get traded during the year.
wow. Giannis, they're never trading
Giannis or
Giannis.
Dame,
They're
or
never
if not both.
they're never trading Giannis. You want to tell me Chris Middleton or Dame? Sure. They're never trading Giannis. Your take is that they're going to trade Dame. That's the
Yeah,
take.
it
All
is.
right. Okay. Okay. Orlando Magic. Here we go.
There's a chance.
Orlando Magic. Orlando Magic. Oh. Who
Trae Young.
I was gonna
Trae
say
Young.
who
He's
will the
got to be
Magic
gone.
get? Who will the Magic get? Trae Young is maybe the answer. Trae, KCP, Franz. Oh no, actually, would KCP be outgoing salary? Trae, De Silva, Trae, Franz, De Silva, Paulo, Wendell.
Ugh,
God bless. With that,
yes.
thank you for tuning in. This was all things. This was all things NBA from A to Z. I'm KP. That's Zach. That's Zach.
Thanks for sticking with us.
Thanks for sticking with us. Stay tuned in. We are going to be releasing pods all NBA season long, just talking about what we see, just talking about what our eyes tell us. Because men lie, women lie, numbers lie. The film never lies. Turn on the goddamn tape, Zach, on Marcus Sasser. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Have a great NBA season. Thanks for sticking with us. If you're new today, thanks for joining us. Have a great one.